Hey Guildies, Fletch here. I have a challenge for you. Do what I do. In this series, a GIN member will pick up some task from the Do What I Do board and perform the steps necessary to complete that task in a realistic enterprise environment. After that, we'll open up the task to the community so that they can do the same exact task but in a different language or style. Let's get started.
Hey, this is Floyd May, and this is my recording for the Do What I Do exercise for the front-end project that Fletch did last month for OKC Sharp. The toolset I'm going to be using for this is React and TypeScript. Before I get too far into this, I also want to make sure that you know I already have Node.js installed. As a matter of fact, let's have a look at what version we've got. Node-version. So that's the version of Node I've got installed. I'm also going to be using Visual Studio Code, and I do have the Vim extension installed. I promised you I would do this. So yes, I am absolutely going to be using Vim as a part of coding this through this example. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to use something called Create React App, which is just a boilerplate for making a React.js application. And I'm going to try to remember the command line bits and bobs for this. I'm not sure if I'm going to get it right on the first try, and if not, we'll try again. So npx is really cool because it lets you run an npm module once and then just kind of throws it away. So it's neat for it'll download the module, run it, and then you're done. So npx create react app -- template TypeScript. I think that's how it works, and then dot for put it in current directory. Need to install the following packages. Create React app. Okay. And now this is the software development thing where we wait and we wait and we wait while things install. Cue the Jeopardy music. Boom dee boom 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 dee boom boom dee doo 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 ba da 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 doom da dee doom boom ba dum bum 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 bum. Cool. Now, one of the things you'll notice here is it says initialized a Git repository. This is kind of cool because it makes it a little bit easier for you to get started checking this stuff into source control. All right, cool. And then it gives us the usage instructions now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fire up npm start. npm start. And what that should do is automatically bring up a browser window for me. And there's my browser window. It's still starting up, by the way. So starting, compiled successfully. Yay! We have things. And this is what Create React App builds for you by default. So let's have a look at what the source code looks like. Let's fire up code, open up the directory. Open a folder. And this is going to be C:\source. Okay, C#, do what I do, React. That is the folder. Yes, I trust the authors because I'm the author. All right, let's embiggen this just a smidge. All right. Oh, maybe that's too much. All right. So if you notice over here in the tree on the left, we've got a few folders. One's the node modules, and if you know node projects, node modules is where packages get installed, so we're not going to go diving into that. But here is this directory called source, and so here's where all of our source code is. So if we go look at app.tsx, this is the thing that is this display right here. Now, if you notice it says edit source / app.tsx and save to reload. Well, let's do that. I'm going to save that. I'm going to go back over here, check that out. Hello, OKC Sharp. So what we're going to do is we're going to start hacking and slashing away at things and getting rid of all of this stuff that's already built in, and instead we're going to replace it with our table. So we're just going to kind of cobble together a table real quick, and also, as I promised, we are going to be using names as if we used the internet names foods. So let's get started. So first off, we don't need this logo, so let's get rid of that. Goodbye, logo. Let's see. App.css, index.css. Yeah, this is not awful, so let's leave that. And what I'm also going to do is I'm just going to get rid of all of this. So I'm just going to get rid of the styles, but I'm going to leave the CSS file there. We're going to get rid of that. We're going to get rid of that. Get rid of all these class names because we don't need them. That. And now we should have a very boring page. All right, cool. So now let's hack in our just very basic, very boring table. And then we're going to start doing some cool stuff with it. Table, T-head, TR. We probably don't even need the T-head, but we'll just leave it there. And then TD. No, actually that should be a TH because this is header. And as promised, this is foot. And then calories, because the internet is naming this. All right. And then T-body, TR, TD, Magno. And then let's say Magno has 54 calories. And then let's just copy that and splat it in there. By the way, I haven't touched the mouse in like a minute and a half, maybe longer. Let's see. GURPS. GURPS are sugarier than Magnos, so maybe 86 calories. Blanaba. That's the yellow thing with the peel. And let's say 32 calories. All right, so let's go have a look. I did leave our hello world message up, so let's go ahead and get rid of that. No, not that. That. All right, cool. So now that's what things look like for right now. So what I'm also going to do in our app.css, oh my gosh, I'm actually using the mouse here. I'm going to say, let's do a .app class, and let's just give it some padding so it'll just sort of scoot that table out. So for rems, if you don't know what rems are a relative EM size for the whole page. So it basically means this is the height of a normal block of text, or the the relative width equivalent. So we're going to do .app class name, and then class name equals app. So that matches up with that. And then, hey, look at that. It scooted it out a little bit. Isn't that cool? All right. So now we actually have to get this interactivity thing going. So let's have some fun with that. First thing we're going to do, because we're good software engineers and we want this to feel and look and behave like real software development, I'm going to go back to Mr. Command Line here, and I'm going to kill it. And then I'm going to do this thing right here, Npm Test. This automatically runs the tests. And these are installed by Create React App, and they run it in watch mode by default. And the built-in test that the template sort of drops in here, obviously, because I changed a bunch of stuff, that test no longer runs properly. It's looking for this text here, learn React, and we got rid of all of that stuff, and it's saying, I can't find that. I found all of this calories and Magno and GURPS and Blanaba, and I can't find that text anymore. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to get rid of that test, and instead we're going to make some new tests. And these are the tests for that front-end stuff that Fletch showed us last month. So let's get started with that. So hi, app.test.text. Okay, so I don't love the way that Create React App does these test things. I like using describe and it for my JavaScript tests because it makes it easier to do some like categorization and stuff. So that's kind of my way of doing this. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to sort of borrow what's already here, and then we're going to rename the file. So describe, and I'm going to call it the table foot table component, because I'm going to make a React component called foot table. And then it should display foot in source order. So this is if you remember from the requirements, it said that it's supposed to display the fruit in whatever order they come from the data source. So what we should probably do is define a data source in here. So let's do this. Let's go ahead and borrow this sort of mocked up stuff and massage it a little bit. So we don't need the header information. Sample foot, and it's going to be an array of foot, and we're going to have name. Matter of fact, let's do this. I'm going to see if I can Vim this. Just because I just kind of want to. All right, so check that out. All right, so what we're going to do here is we're going to, let's go ahead and get rid of, comment this out. And I'm doing this mostly just to sort of refer back to it as a reference. So I'm going to render foot component, data equals example foot. And as we can see right here, I have the red squigglies. Hopefully there's like a pill or a cream or something for that. So this is the first step of TDD, red, failing test, and things that don't compile, that's a failing test. So just to make sure that we're actually TDDing the right way, let's go back and look at our command line. It's rerunning our test, as you can see, and it's saying foot component is not defined. Good. Okay, so let's go make us a foot component. New file, foot component.tsx. Okay, import React from React, export foot component react.fc. So this is a functional component. So this is basically saying it's not a class-based component. So the new hotness in React for the past couple of years has been functional components. And excuse me, we need a functional component that takes some props. Right now we're just going to use empty braces here, which is to say props that don't have anything. So we can actually completely omit that entirely. And this is going to be a function that just returns for now, hello world. And then this is all kinds of upset. React export, const. Yep, I forgot my JavaScript syntax there. All right, so there's that. As a matter of fact, what I'm also going to do, I'm going to pull my tests over here. So when I'm working doing test-driven development, I like my source code on my left and my tests on my right. Some people really are opinionated about, no, the tests go on the left and then the production code goes on the right. No big opinions there, but I do like being able to see them side by side. So now we don't need this app component up in here. We need import foot component from boot component. Yay! Okay, so now we're going to write those files, and then we're going to go back and watch our tests. By the way, I'm alt-tabbing back and forth between Visual Studio Code and my tests. In a real production environment, I would have my tests running on a separate screen. So I've got VS Code up here, and I've got my tests running down here. So yay, that passed. Cool. So I actually have a component that renders something. Now notice we've got a case of the red squigglies. We're going to put some ointment on that here in just a second. So this is complaining, saying you're trying to pass this data prop to it, but it doesn't know what that is. So let's do this. Let's make a type. Port type boot row. Name is a string, and calories is a number. And then export type boot component props. So this is kind of an idiomatic thing in React. Excuse me, my phone is chirping at me. In React, in general, you will define a props type that says these are the props. These are the pieces of data that this component accepts. And data is an array of boot row. And then we come down here and we say this is a functional component, but it takes these props. All right, cool. Like I said, we put some ointment on that case of red squigglies, and it cleared right up. Now, let's make an assertion. So our assertion should be something like, we should get these things in the order that we passed them. And if you notice, they're not alphabetized. So let's do this. So we're going to do document.querySelectorAll. And one of the cool things about the React testing library here is document is basically whatever you've rendered just for this one particular test. So you don't have to worry about other things being in the document or anything like that. That's one of my favorite things about the React testing library. So we're going to query for table rows. And then for each of those, what are you upset about? Actually, let's do screen.findAll. Actually, maybe not. Okay. So document.querySelectorAll. We want our table rows, because the goal here is we're going to go get our table rows, and then we're going to get our table datas. Although this is going to get our header row, so we're going to have to skip our header. As a matter of fact, let's do this. tbody tr. So that'll only give us our rows and the tbody tag. So that should be good. Entries. I always forget this. There we go. Is that a yeah, okay. Cool. And that's how we do it. So that's going to get us our rows. And why are you upset? Goodness. Sorry about that. Okay, so we're going to do array.from, which apparently behaves better in this regard. Then we're going to map. So what we're doing, now we've got the rows, we're going to do query selector all td. So what we want is the first table data element and then we're going to get inner text. So expect actual to equal, and then this should be those names in order. Magno, GURPS, Blanaba. And we can get rid of this. Okay, so it's saying we expected this array with 3 things in it. We received an empty array. So we received an empty array. Why? Because we're not rendering any table rows. We're not rendering any t-body tags. So this is basically a big bunch of hoopla over not actually rendering stuff. So let's actually render a table. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to borrow, I'm just going to go ahead and borrow this stuff for now. Scoot that back to get the indentation right. Now, of course, this is cheating, but I just want to make sure that my test is passing. Oh dear, I've got undefined, undefined, undefined. Okay, so let's see what's going on with that. So query selector all, D, let's see. You know what we could do is just use a fancier selector. Let's see what we can get out of that. Boom. All right, cool. So that's working. Now, let's actually make this do the right thing. Magno, GURPS, Blanaba. What was another good fruit? Orange. Those are kind of sugary, so like, I don't know, 76. Cool. Orange. And then that, of course, is going to fail. And it's saying here, I expected to see orange in here, and it's not there. So let's actually read that data. So come back over here, data. So for each of these TRs, what we're going to do, data.map. Boot. We can even destructure that bad boy. Name. Calories. This is going to be name. Calories. Now let's see what happens. It passed, but I've also got a warning here. And this is a React thing. And the reason why React gets fussy about this is because React is really smart about when data changes over time, it only re-renders the minimum amount of stuff on the screen that it needs to. So when you give it a key, that key helps to identify with React when you're mapping over an array of something. It helps to tell React if the key is the same, More than likely, the data is the same too, so we can probably skip over this instead of re-rendering the entire list. So we're going to do key. As a matter of fact, we're not even going to do that. Key equals name. And then our tests should be much, much happier. Yay! All right, cool. So now let's do some other stuff here. So we should probably teach this thing how to sort stuff. So should sort by name ascending. First name sort click. So we're going to render this stuff. And then we're going to do user event click. Let's see. There's a way to do this in the React testing library, and I forget how to do it off the top of my head. So React testing library, click. Time you should use, that's the one I'm looking for. Import user event from that, and then we do user event.click. Yes, okay, that's what I want. So we're going to do user event from testing library, user event. All right, cool. So now what we're going to do is we're going to user event.click screen.get. Yeah, we need that screen, don't we? Get by role. And this is going to be a button. And we're going to do a regex match. Name case insensitive. All right. So this is going to blow up because we don't have any buttons on the screen. So watch our test results go kaboom. So let's scroll up. It says unable to find an accessible element with the role button and name sort by name. Okay, cool. So let's go make one of those. And let's do T head, TH, boot. Make another one of those. Calories. Make us a button. Sort by name. Now, more than likely, TH cannot appear as a child of T head. Oh, because I didn't do a TR. I swear I program. So that was just a warning. Test passed. Okay, so now we click the button. Now we should expect to see our data in order. So let's do this. This little dance right here, I'm going to factor out to a little helper function. All right. So now what we can do is we can even borrow Mr. Assertion right here. And let's order these the right way. So B goes before M, M and O. Okay, I know my alphabet, I think. All right, cool. So now it's going to complain that they're out of order if I did this right. Aha, and indeed they are out of order. Cool. So let's teach this thing how to sort. So before we do that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go grab a React library called underscore. Actually, no, not underscore, Lodash. When I say underscore, you old school Node.js hackers are going to be like, Floyd's old. Underscore is what it used to be. Lodash is the way things are now. So let us npm install Lodash. And we're going to use Lodash because writing your own sorting algorithms is really not the way you do it. Let's let the smarter people do the better sorting algorithms, the smarter ones, the faster ones. All right, let's run our tests again. We should still have that same test failure. So here's the thing. We're going to have to figure out how to keep track of how we're sorting right now. So we're going to have to keep some state. All right. So what is that state going to look like? Let's call it sort state. And let's make it one of these strings. So this is kind of like making an enum in TypeScript. I like strings rather than official enums because TypeScript enums are fussy. So we'll say default, and for right now, name ascending. And then what we're going to do is we're going to use some state. So const sort state, set sort state, equals, use state, sort state, no, not that, capital S. And then we're going to use default. So our default sort state is whatever the data was handed to us. So notice I used the context menu to add this use state up here on line 1. And then now what we're going to do is we're going to figure out, given our data that's coming in, what data do we render? So we're going to have to sort it potentially if it's not default. So we're going to go ahead and import import from Lodash. Why are you upset? I wonder, and sometimes you have to do this with Visual Studio Code. Sometimes you have to reload the window after installing node packages. I wonder if that's all I needed to do there. Nope, not so lucky. Okay. So we need to install the types. Let's do that real quick. This is to make TypeScript happy. And like that happied it right up. Okay, cool. So now what we're going to do is we're going to sort by. So this is data. And then otherwise data. And then data.map. So instead of data.map, we're going to do rendered data.map. And then for our last little bit here, so we're going to say on click, we're going to give it a function that says set sort state, name ascending. And we're gonna build this logic out here in just a bit. But at any rate, tests are rerunning. Let's see what happens. Aha! So now we can click the button and it will sort, but now let's see what happens when we click the button twice. We would expect it to sort descending, but I'm pretty sure, it's not going to do that. So let's So what I'm going to do here is, so I factored that button out, and I'm just going to repeat that. And then these should be in the opposite order. And I'm pretty sure it's going to show us, no, it didn't automatically resort it for me because I haven't taught it how to yet. All right, so now we need a new sort state. Name descending. Okay, so now this is going to be the fun one. I'm going to make a handler function. If the sort state is name ascending, set the state to name. There we go. Else, set the sort state, name ascending. And then we're just going to change up that handler. So now the state will be right. Now we've got to actually sort it the right way. So if the sort state is that, we're going to do this. Otherwise, sort state name descending. And then I forget how this works. Let's do that. Let's have a look. Low dash sort descending. And what was the method that we were using? Sort by? Aha. So we want order by, it looks like. And if orders is unspecified, otherwise specify an order of this DSC for descending. Okay, so we're going to change from sort by to order by. Let's see if that makes it work. Boom. Okay, cool. So now we can do something very similar for ordering by calories. Depending on calories sort, click, sort by calories. And then, excuse me. And then let's get, what is our sort order here? It's going to be Lanaba, Magno, GURPS, Orange. In fact, let's just borrow this and just drop it here. Temporarily. So Blanaba's at the top, and then Magno, then Orange, then GURPS. Okay, cool. So that's going to fail because we don't have a sort by calories button. Yep. So let's go make one of those. And then that handler is going to have to be something different. And we're also going to have some sort state too. So let's make calories. And I'm just going to borrow this and twiddle it. Okay. And then there's that. And that. Oh, we didn't teach it how to sort yet. We just know how to store the state. So now let's teach it how to sort. And I'm just going to go ahead and do both cases since we've kind of got the pattern established. All right, cool. There's that. So now that should happy things up. Uh-oh. Did I get my order wrong? Let's go back and look. Let's see. Lanaba has 32 calories, Magno has 54, Orange has 76, GURPS has 86. This seems right, so what is going on here? So why does it think GURPS goes next? Oh. I wonder if this is one of those things where I just need to rerun my tests. Because that looks like just the unordered. Okay. So clearly my sorting algorithm is confused. Yep, it is still confused. What in the world? Oh, you know why? Because we're still sorting by name. Derp. Aha. Cool. So now we have the logic there. And as a matter of fact, while I'm thinking about it, let me go grab that document that Fletch put together, and we can double check to make sure that our logic is complete. So here's that doc. Let's see. UI, UX. Well, that wasn't it. The UI developer. Okay, so a dynamic table, it can list any number of fruits, column with the name, column with how many calories. Each of these two columns should be sortable with a three-way sort, ascending, descending, and default from data source. So I think we've got all of that covered. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to hook that back up to the development server so we can actually see it and see how ugly it is, and maybe do just a little bit to de-uglify it. All right, so we're going to stop our test. Where are our tests? There are our tests. Quit. And then we're going to do npm start. And then here's our React app. More than likely, it's going to bring up another window or another tab, and that's fine. So now, go back to app.tsx. And then what I can even do is borrow our example foot here, and then we're going to do boom. All right. Foot component data equals example foot. And let's see what happens. Okay. So we sort by name. It does the thing. We sort by calories. It does the thing. Sort by name. Sort by calories. Cool. I mean, this is ugly, but it works. And I'm not even going to attempt to just sort of on the fly fiddle with CSS and make this pretty, but it absolutely does work. Also, and this is one of the reasons why I chose to use button here. This maintains accessibility, so that if somebody who was blind was attempting to use this UI, they could, because they could find the buttons by name, and have a reasonable understanding of what this button actually does. Apparently, I left out a few details on how the sorting algorithm works for my Do What I Do project. So let's go and adjust that real quick. So here we are. Let me go ahead and embiggen this just a smidge. Wow, that just feels way too big. That should be all right. Okay. So what Fletch had sort of reached out to me and be like, hey, it needs to be a three-way sort. So if you click it one time, it sorts ascending. You click it the second time, it sorts descending. And you click it a third time, and it resets it back to the default sort from the data source. So let's make that happen. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to change how the clicks work. And I'm going to do that as a true refactoring, meaning I'm not changing any of my tests. I'm just going to change the production code and restructure it so that the behavior is the same, but the structure of the code is different. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a map so that whenever a click happens, it's going to basically say, when a click happens at this state, this is where it needs to go. So so this is going to be for clicks on the name column. So this will be name, click, map. And this is going to be of type record, of sort state to sort state. So what that means is it's mapping from one sort state to another sort state. So what this means is if we're at default, when we click the name sort button, we should go to name ascending. If we're at name ascending, we should go to name descending. And then currently, what we're doing is nothing. So we just kind of get stuck. If we keep clicking, nothing's going to happen. So we'll just leave it like that for now. And then we'll also do something similar for calories. And then what we'll also do is we'll change these. So the name sort click is we're gonna get const gonna be name click map or so if it's not in the map, we're going to say, okay, well, if it's not something that we've planned for, then we're going to default to name ascending, and then we're going to set the sort state to that, and we'll do something very similar for that. And then these are upset. Why are they upset? Aha. So this is upset because this isn't exhaustive. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a TypeScript thing, partial. So what that means is I don't have to be exhaustive for all of the properties. Now that should give us the same behavior that we just had. So I'm expecting all of my tests to pass. Okay, good, cool. So now what we're going to do is we're going to add some tests to make sure that when we keep clicking, we get that three-state sort behavior. So sort by name descending on 2 clicks of the first name sort. So what we're going to do is we're going to borrow this, and we're going to do sort by data source default on 3 clicks of the first name sort. So we're going to click not once, not twice, but thrice. 5. No, 3, sir. Sorry. And then I'm just going to borrow that real quick. And then that is our data source default. And that should be a failing test. Uh-oh, scadios. Okay, so let's teach our code how to do this right. So if we are on default or anything else, we're going to go to name ascending. If we're on name ascending, we're going to go to name descending. And then if we're on name descending, we're going to go to default. Let's go check out our tests. Hey! Cool. So we can use the very same strategy here. And look at that, that was broken. And I didn't have a test for it. But since what we're doing is we're generalizing this into sort of an engine, so to speak, I'm less concerned about the test coverage for this. If this starts getting more complicated, then we'll probably generalize more and add some more test coverage. But there we go. And then also, I did say I was going to rename this, so because this file really should be foot.table.test.tx, or yeah, foot component. So let's do some. So let's do that. And then let's rename Mr. File here. Let's actually rename it. We can do this. There we go. And then, of course, all my tests are going to rerun now. Hey, there we go. All right, cool. So there's our 3-state sort. And honestly, I'd like to just sort of look through here and see if there's anything that just looks ugly. I mean, this looks pretty clean. This could probably be done with a switch statement or something like that, but honestly, I'm not I'm not terribly offended by how this works here. So we've got 4 different ways to sort. Otherwise, we do the data source default. So that seems reasonable. All right, I like it. Cool.